To begin with Sorlag, he has the Mega Side spawn, and I think he just got eyes or ears on Tox, and it's like, look at that, I've got myself 2 major items off the beginning. Happy days.
Spit used just as area denial. Doesn't quite hit its mark. I know sometimes when the acid hits, it's really useful because the damage numbers ticking over time gives you some information over where the opponent is through walls and stuff like that. But starting things off, Vengeur with a slightly larger stack, but Toxjq just listening out. And I wonder if he heard that splash. He's looking towards the right, so maybe. Oh! Prediction rocket hits its mark, gives Toxjq the all-important information. And now the second objective is going to be that heavy, of which Toxjq is completely rushing it down to try and stop Vengeur from getting the all-important resource. And he's hit one rail, forcing Vengeur away. And
really just want to say how much I love that rocket jump from Tox, because when you're just in the pit on your own, you're at a big distance. Oh my god, the rush down. Vengeur thinks he has some time to pick up the light armor, but there's just no hope for him. Tox gets a great start, and Vengeur's wondering what the hell just happened. He's going to just land some rockets instead. He won't take much time of hesitation. It's already tied up.
It's going to be hard for Toxjq to fight for this heavy as well. I mean, he's fresh off the spawn. He hasn't really got a lot of equipment. He does what he can, but it's not going to be enough. Slightly delaying his spawn does Toxjq to throw off the nail timings. That is the spawn trap that is so dangerous when someone's been able to perfect the timing on it. But 2-1 now. Toxjq only a little bit far behind, but Vengeur is starting to build up that speed, get some entry damage on the LG. Should be able to get this Mega pretty easily. Yes, he does. And now the next fight should once again be that heavy. But what does Tox do in the situation?
Tox is still trying to get that high ground to poke some damage away, but now you can even get a rocket jump over from... Oh, he finds the rocket! Nice little predict again. Hasn't got rails, so he's just looking for straight nail damage over there. I love him to get the rails, because then off the spawn he becomes even more dangerous. That's assuming he can pick up another frag and reconjure that moment.
That's one of the reasons Sorlag is going to be a dangerous champion on this map. You can get that entry damage. It's very easy for her to build up that bunny hopping speed and pretty much go wherever she needs to be on the map to finish you off. And now the ranged rail misses the second shot. Can he hit another one? The rocket instead. Okay, that's really good. Misses the shot. Toxjq would have been killed there. Gets just enough stack, but not enough to survive the rail that finishes off.
This totem, like one thing that's worrying me a bit is that Vengeur's almost, I don't know if he's seeing them, but I think he is, and he's not getting rid of them. Great patience of that shot. Ooh, again, he's not able to slip him out of time. He's taken 40 damage. He's going to try and defend with the bit. LG, he's got rockets out, but it's not going to hit a good shot. Has the totem there to protect Tox a little. He'll bring it 2 to 4. His stack is quite fragile. He's going to be found over at the rails, and he should fall one more time. Can't get another rocket out. Finally, Vengeur spots the bounce pad totem.
But the danger with not worrying about the totems at the time was just allowing Toxjq to run back and restack a little bit more than he probably had any right having the chance to. But now, as Vengeur got a frag, he's been able to sort of undo the work just a little bit. Looking to get some more rocket damage. Toxjq running away, giving Vengeur a little bit of information. Probably knew he was running there anyway though, but still. Every little helps when it comes to a map as small as this one.
Spotted one more time. Tox likes to take this position, it seems like. And I think Vengeur's got to back out of this. Goes for a rocket. It's not a bad shot. Tox's HP is somewhat diminished. I don't think he can push in aggressively at all. And he doesn't appear to have the railgun either, so he can't get that long-range guaranteed damage. But he has just got himself the mega health. So Vengeur's got to start being a little more slow and cautious, and he's got to try and find that entry damage or block his choke points.
Entry damage is good, but is it going to be enough? No! Toxjq! The trade on the acid! Alright, fair enough. He gets the fantastic rail, but the trade. Oh, wow.
The spawn that Tox got with all the weapons. Oh, he's just fallen into some acid! He dies from it! Oh my god, it stayed up for that long. Tox takes some unnecessary damage, and all of a sudden Vengeur back in the driving seat. He's going to find the rockets through Banana, and that is going to be 8 to 3 at the moment.
You almost wonder if Toxjq completely underestimated the duration of the acid.
Yes.
Because, I mean, I can only assume he caught the extreme back end of it when it was only, microseconds away from disappearing.
It does last for 10 seconds, which is actually a long time, but even at that point you've respawned and you've had a bit of a tip and you still go into it. It's like, yeah, it's pretty good. Sorlag is powerful.
But now, the lead, unfortunately for Toxjq, gets even bigger now. Vengeur looking real good, and he's got a fat stack. At the same time, doesn't even matter that he touched that totem. He's still going to spring the trap and get the rocket. Toxjq forced to run away. Vengeur, plenty of health bubbles nearby. Does he try and go towards the heavy? He's going to stack up first.
I flamed Vengeur a little bit for missing out on totems, but I think he still hasn't allowed Tox to get himself onto overstack totems. Tox is going to walk into a couple of rockets, which helps out Vengeur nicely. Suddenly he gets railed and he's like, I know the Mega's up in a second or two, but if I stay here, I can get railed. So he leaves straight away. Tox is going to get that. He's going to have a huge stack. This is the turning point in the game. Tox needs to start getting on the board from this point in.
But I feel like Vengeur is, I think, competitively showing Toxjq a lot of respect, too. Like, if there's even the chance that he's railable, except for that, which I guess is kind of hard to gauge sometimes through the teleporter, if he's even remotely railable, he will just run off and not even give Toxjq the angle, because he knows that he is dealing with one of the best aimers on the planet in this match. And Toxjq collecting the health, which thankfully means, I guess, half information for Vengeur might help him time it. The second he heard the tick stop because he picked up the Mega, it's like, hey, maybe that stopping of the tick is the timing he needs.
He's voiding combat quite well. That missed rail is going to give all the information that Vengeur needs, so he can keep running a bit. Defensive rockets, that makes it Tox's health and armor. He can't really push in very easily while those rockets are being fired. That totem, it does give quite a lot of life and block some damage, and Tox is going to be able to secure the frag. He just doesn't have a whole lot of health to work with. Vengeur spawns on the Mega. I don't think he hit that rail. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Well, Toxjq is going to get hit his, and it's going to trade, unfortunately, actually, as one miss to a second miss on the other side. And you mentioned, right, the turning point was about a minute ago. We can't count out Toxjq just yet, but Vengeur, there's the benefit of those large champions. They have got the larger stack, even fresh off the spawn. If Toxjq takes lots of damage during fights, he can't necessarily snowball it, especially if the acid becomes an option as well. It's very hard to challenge.
He's suddenly just got a free item. He's going to attack a little bit on the heavy. Oh, they've got a rocket jump too. Rail, followed a bit of lightning gun from Vengeur. Has to watch out. That totem down does present a lot of trouble, but he hits the rocket, and suddenly Tox is just pushed into the air, can't control his movement, and it lets Vengeur get one closer to 10.
Vengeur's just going to sit pretty and just get that information he's looking for. If he just held that rail angle for like half a second longer, he probably would have got another rail shot too. Toxjq trying to force his way onto the Mega. Not an amazing position, especially if he's missing those rails, and now it's the point of no return. Nothing Toxjq can do to survive, and now it's just looking unfortunately bad to worse for Toxjq in this map. Hard to count him out, but wow! That's a head-on collision if I've ever seen one. How do you recover from this? Actually, not the worst spawn in the world. Vengeur doesn't need to overextend to get a railgun, can simply spawn and collect it.
Yeah, Vengeur might start thinking about how he can be a little passive at the moment. I don't want him to overcommit to that strategy. If an opportunity for damage and follow-up it presents itself, he needs to go for it. But these totems, he's like getting rid of one once every 45 seconds or so. And with the hourglasses and health bubbles and stuff that reduce the cooldowns for Tox, that's just not fast enough. You need to be taking down more of them. Otherwise, Galena is immensely strong.
Oh, the entry damage. So Toxjq already getting caught mid-rocket jump, so getting a bit more speed than he bargained for, potentially. And the danger here, you know, Vengeur doesn't even need to press the advantage in this situation. He can if he wants, but, you know, as long as he keeps Toxjq behind and keeps Toxjq weak, every fight taken becomes a huge risk. That was very odd. Good damage! What a turnaround!
Big mess up there from Vengeur. He saw the Mega health, but I think he was trying to play sneaky with the timings, and then Tox suddenly pushes into the room, and he can't go for it. He has to get the frag before Mega's taken, otherwise you can see what Tox is capable of. But he walks into Vengeur, getting aggressive, knows he has to do something, and unfortunately for him, the super shotgun ends that run before it even started.
Toxjq's going to drop again. We are starting to reach the point where once more it's unlikely the win's going to happen. Gets entry damage as well with a nail gun on the spawn. The classic Vengeur, so good at trapping them on the spawn. And in this situation, yeah, I mean, he chases it.
Just
good choice, but I mean, he has to really just pull out all the stops. Slight delay on the respawn, but 30 seconds left for 5 frags. I mean, I'm not entirely sure anymore.
Yeah, I'm not sold. But, you know, Tox can find a way in certain things, but in this instance, unfortunately, even Tox is unable to do it. Look at that rocket jump with just over 40 health remaining. He's just trying to get away and make sure, you know what, just in case some... Let's put that aside. Just in case something crazy happens, maybe there's a whole bunch more totems that can end his life. Try to play it safer rather than be sorry.
Map 1 is done.
It is.
Toxjq, I mean,
Close to
not
the
giving
end.
up until the very end. Going to get some aim practice at the very least. But yeah, after the 1 minute warning, there was very little Toxjq was going to do to bring that one back. But if you're Vengeur, you're feeling a lot of momentum, I think, after that one.
I think so. And honestly, I don't know if I expected a score like that necessarily, but I definitely expected Vengeur to take the W. On Awoken, he's incredibly good. I like to think that he demonstrated some instances as to why he's so good. I think he played his advantages just so damn well. But we'll be able to see a couple of the highlights across here too. Tox had some moments where he got in, but I think he was fairly even on the damage, and Tox is normally someone who you expect to be Super Saiyan when it comes to that.
But we've said it many, many times before, where the moment he turns up, it's very hard to kind of take him off, the momentum that he feels. But Vengeur, the second he's comfortable, you kind of actually get shades of that from him too. There's a reason that when he plays online, he destroys so many top-level players in like practice games and all that stuff. And then it's in the offline tournaments, he's kind of been seen to struggle. But this is kind of what I was thinking about, where the moment we've gone back to online, where Vengeur's playing in like his 100% comfort zone, it's a good chance for him to start raking in those points. We can't forget that it was only map 1, so we have got 2 more left to go. Remember, we play all 3 maps. This is not a best of 3, technically. Well, I guess by the traditional sense, anyway. But our next map is going to be Corrupted Keep. So it's going to be one tiny map into another, but definitely I think you could say played a bit differently.
Yeah, this is going into Tox's map pick now as well. This is another good map though for Vengeur. I mean, he's still incredibly strong here. Actually, before I break it down anymore, we didn't really do a prediction at the start. And I know that we've got some spoilers now, because we've played a map. But
I guess it's kind of hard to do predictions now we have that initial information.
I knew that I always would have said, okay, Vengeur in the first map, but I don't really know what I would have said afterwards.
Well, how many times do we see Toxjq lose the first map, and then that's the moment where he comes online? And I guess it was more reminiscent of seeing that, when Quake Champions tournaments kind of started out, where we always used to call him a slow burner all the time, because once he kind of reaches that element right, he can just keep that top speed all the way through. But slow acceleration versus high top speed. Do I think Tox is going to win? I mean, I guess if he is going to win, it's going to be a 2-1. I probably would have said 2-1 though before even that first map, but I feel like I'm kind of cheating now because we already had the map to choose from. But I'm not going to count Toxic out just because he lost the first map, because he loses maps like that all the time, and it takes that map for him to reach that next level, which he can then just maintain throughout the rest of the series. So
I think it's going to be 2-1 to Vengeur, but Vengeur's going to also win this map. But I believe we've got Slash from Tox on Molten Falls. And when Tox is playing Slash, it's art, it's poetry.
My favourite.
Wow.
Yeah, but the champion pick next is going to be Visor versus Ranger. It's going to be Vengeur going in with the Ranger and Toxjq with the Visor. So, no craziness probably from Toxjq, but information, which can sometimes be just as lethal.
That Ranger is also something to watch out for from Vengeur, because he's very good at just turning on the aggression just at a click. Those orb rocket combos are still very, very nasty. So Tox has got to watch out for that. But I really like what he was doing at QuakeCon. He was hugely respectful of Rangers and their capability of just having that mad burst DPS combined with that orb. So I think Tox is going to give some space. I'll be very surprised if he willingly gives up frags that way. But my issue is that he might play too passively because he's taking it into consideration so much. I can't remember who it was exactly against, but one of the QuakeCon matches, I think it was in like day 1, 2, or 3, he refused to go into the heavy armor room on Ruins because he was going versus a Ranger. So for, I think, 5 minutes straight, he didn't do it because they had heavy control, they had Ranger, and they had an orb.
I actually think that might have been Sygib,
That could have been.
I'm sure that was
a
streamed match. Yeah, because you specifically asked him about it actually in the winner interview, and he even acknowledged himself that sometimes he feels like he can be a bit too passive, where he doesn't want to take risks. I mean, like
it almost sounded like my analysis there.
Yeah.
The Tox is just telling me what to say now.
But no, you were right though. I mean, it was a map where Toxjq was being way too passive because he just feared the damage that would come through, and he even acknowledged it himself. However, that was the exact same series. His massive wins came from just landing shots in situations where he had no right doing it. He's just a god. So I guess that is quite a useful skill to have in competitive play.
To be a god, yes.
Yeah, you can
just be a god.
Having aim like Toxjq is easy. You just need to be godlike.
Yes, exactly.
Come on, man. Simple.
I think we can actually watch the god right now, in fact, because we have just got ourselves into the second map. We are on Corrupted Keep. We've got Toxjq's Visor versus Vengeur's Ranger. Tox is going to pop that piercing sight very early on and start scouting out some of that HMG damage.
HMG is the closest thing to a rail you'll get on this map. It's the far option. Vengeur trying to establish a bit of threat with the orb, but Toxjq's not going to bite. Vengeur just needs to try and focus on running away now, but Toxjq is surrounded by so many pickups here. It's not going to be a problem for him at all.
Vengeur's picking up health and then losing it immediately. He's like stuck around the 25-50 mark for way too long. So Tox is going to go away from him, get himself his own major item, and, you know, maybe opportunity lost, because I was loving the pressure that Tox had on him at the beginning.
I mean, the important thing for Vengeur is that he just simply survived the chase.
Yes.
It's very hard to outrun someone, especially when they know exactly where you're going, but Vengeur survived with just enough stack. Unfortunately, overstaying his welcome just a little bit as we're finally hit the 1 minute mark and one frag is done. Vengeur running straight into the lion's den there, no health left. And he's going to try and focus on restacking once more.
Just to say on the first frag, we might even get another in a second actually, as Vengeur tries to get himself away briefly. I just loved how hard Tox pushed into that nail gun room to secure the first kill, because that means going down that bendy hallway with the hourglasses is just impossible for Vengeur, because he's going to take damage the whole way down anyway. It was a very well executed first kill, and Tox may well find himself another in a moment, but he's taken a lot of machine gun damage, 20 HP. Mega's going to be up in 2 seconds time. He's trying to press forward for it, and Vengeur playing chicken with him is going to release himself first.
But Toxjq very intelligently waited until he heard the jump pad before he went in to go get the Mega. He knew it would be safe at that point, but he's getting outranged. He has to be very, very careful, and he's still staying there, putting a lot of confidence in his own aim and maybe lack of confidence in Vengeur's ability to finish it off. It's going to be a 1-1 situation, pretty even stack as well. The danger is Toxjq pretty low on ammunition, but he's getting so much heavy machine gun damage!
God. I was just showing this map, this HMG is so important here on Corrupted Keep. Tox is using it as much as he possibly can. It looked like in the earlier fight that Vengeur was using it unzoomed and Tox was using it zoomed. There's a little bit more of a bullet spread unzoomed, and at the distance there, it maybe showed why it took him so long to finish off that first kill. Had he finished it sooner, he possibly could have had the resources needed to, you know, hold off on the following fights.
I'm pretty sure I just saw a 99 rocket there as well, so just short of perfect for Toxjq, who's maintaining the pressure, and the piercing sight really allows you to have that pressure. I love this champion pick there from Tox, and that was a nice little rocket dodge too. He knows he can't take that trade. But I mean, yeah, you have so many rooms that someone can run away to. Some of these rooms have like 3 entrances or exits, depending on which way you look at it. The piercing sight means that there's no guessing game to be had. You haven't got to sit around and listen to it, because you can see where you're trying to run.
I am worried about how much damage Vengeur's exposing himself to. The amount of times he's walking into HMG is crazy. He goes forward, tries to hit a mid-air, could have got himself an amazing kill, but it is Tox who's just escalating up the scoreboard. 4 for 1, although his control's been kind of mediocre for a while. Oh my god, he gets the speed boost going through the teleporter. It ends up being a mutual frag, so we're going to get reset a little bit. He finds all of the weapons on the floor after, so ammunition's certainly not a problem for him. But Vengeur's lightning gun while he's moving through the air, that's actually pretty damn impressive from him.
And it's important too, because now he's only 2 frags behind. Toxjq running face first, but the nails getting the damage he's looking for.
Just spawn over by the heavy armor, so even though Vengeur's behind, he's still managing to get himself necessary items. He does need to get himself on either the rocket or the lightning gun, or both, I guess. And Vengeur definitely had that bounce back usage, so needs to know where the damage is coming from, needs to deliver accordingly. Still 10 seconds, still the mega health.
I find that's almost completely why Toxjq doubled back there. You know, you're very aware of how much noise you're making if you know that someone's nearby, especially on a map as small as this one. And if Tox has a lead, whenever it's you said just now, the accuracy on this LG when Vengeur's in motion, and he's just continuing to collect.
That's actually a big frag as well, because Vengeur, although he takes a lot of damage, he gets the heavy armor straight after. He has got to go versus the lightning gun, which he needs to watch out for, and he orb up the orb! That was too aggressive. We know that Vengeur can get pretty spicy sometimes. That was pushing the boundaries just a bit too far. Just as I thought, he made a great series of plays where if he didn't overplay it, he could certainly be catching up and tying up within probably the next minute.
Vengeur's way more healthy than Toxjq, so much he can really chase this one down. He's trying to bully him off the heavy. He's been successful. He's got a massive stack compared to Toxjq, but I guess the question is Toxjq going to make it easy for him? Vengeur, he's being aggressive. You can see just how fast he's moving around this map. He's seeking him out. He just needs to find his opening. And
he's trying to push through the choke points a little bit too. That's a great rocket. You know what? There's an amazing return rocket from Tox. We have got the major items coming up. Vengeur needs to pay attention to them now so that he can ensure that he gets both of them. Still so little health. I don't know if that was an orb. We'll have a look in a second to see what that was. Yeah, it looks like that was an orb up from Vengeur. He goes for the lightning. That was a really amazing move from Vengeur. Good aggression. Maintaining control on the map. This is actually pretty scary for Tox at the moment because his champion is less mobile than the Ranger.
Especially when you look at the cooldown of his own. And that piercing sight's going to be good for trying to hit those defensive shots, but he's not got it for just short of 20 seconds now. 15, in fact, and he gets one rocket. Trying to keep Vengeur far away, but the important thing as well is that Vengeur's keeping his stack nice and high. You know, that these defensive shots aren't really doing as much damage as Toxjq wants. He's trying to run away, but even then, he's so weak compared to Vengeur. Vengeur, loads of opportunities to collect items as he runs away now, piercing sight. This might be the opening he's looking for.
There is an orb though for Vengeur, so he can play it wise. He does go through, gets the two 25s. He's still attacking a bit on the mega health. He might actually get it anyway. That's actually crazy that Vengeur's able to do that. He lands a bit of rocket damage. Tox finds himself on the corner of the map, away from the heavy armor that's coming up next. And Vengeur's like, hooray, no, I just won the lottery there.
You almost wonder if that was just a bad prediction from Toxjq, who may have just assumed that Vengeur used the orb to escape and that he wouldn't double back. It almost like completely messed up Toxic's plans to just run and take the mega a little bit later. He'd already lost that window by the time that Vengeur turned around and showed his face.
It's the HMG damage though that's been ludicrous.
Oh wow! That one hurt.
Okay, this is
big time.
This is bad news for Tox. He needs to hit some godlike shots, and he's unfortunately not landed anything. So Vengeur's now only a single frag away. He's making a fantastic comeback. He's hit LG. Momentum carried through the teleporter. Vengeur's still outstacking him, giving definitely some respect. And there's a long time till the mega health's up. I actually just noticed that the heavy was never taken by him anyway. So I wonder if there's going to be a bit of deception at the moment for Tox and his idea of the timings. He pushes through. He allows the scores to be tied up. There's a perfect split on the items at the moment. I wonder if Vengeur's just worked some magic here with the control, and Tox is going to be left wondering when the heavy's spawning. It sounds like Vengeur's also, he outsmarted himself. He has no idea when it's spawning.
But at this stage, Toxjq might have used the piercing sight, so he's going to have timing on that heavy regardless.
Yeah, good point.
So, being able to throw it off might have been swiftly undone. We're back to an even fight. But even though I'm saying even, it feels like Vengeur's been in control for a huge chunk of it. He just had a really bad start, it feels. Now, getting some good damage, looking for a little bit more. Beat into the mega, though, so Vengeur's trying to be as careful as he can. But in this situation now, Toxjq, he's trying to get back into the lead, right? He's had this problem where he's playing, defensive and trying not to overextend too much. And then Vengeur would just hit these miracle shots or get these miracle steals or plays on some of the items, puts Toxjq behind, and he's a bit nervous to try and go in. Whereas now, now it's technically even. I'm favouring Vengeur quite heavily at the moment.
It's super close. I'm not even sure. Tox has totally relinquished control of the mega health for free. Okay, I say for free. He managed to get the exit damage, and there's 10 seconds until the heavy's up. And now they're fighting close to it. Still 5 seconds to go for it. Vengeur, very good with the rockets, trying to land as much damage as possible. He has got the orb still. Misdirection. Ooh, almost working out. But he is in trouble. 32 health left. He manages to get through the hallway.
I'm honestly surprised he even went for that angle.
Yeah,
I'm surprised he gave Toxjq the opportunity, but he is going to get away pretty much scot-free. Not a single ounce of damage as he went through there. The two of them are getting their stacks back up nice and healthy, and we're hitting that 1 minute warning. Toxjq is way more stacked, and if we do go down to one more frag, this is danger territory, Zoo.
I think Vengeur lost timing on the mega health because he's just gone super passive on both major items. This is actually really worrying. Tox is an enormous favourite for the end of the map, and he really should be tying it up 1-1 now in map score. This is a colossal advantage and a colossal mistake for Vengeur to lose sight of the items so well when he was even Stevens challenging for that initial mega health.
Looking for the orb, teleports to it. Toxjq scouts it out, and there's some timing.
Interesting plays with the mega health. Tox drops it on this occasion.
Uh-oh.
Didn't expect that orb to cut off the position now. I think he was trying to defend it, but the orb got the turn around, so Vengeur makes up for the timing error earlier. But we have a split on the item, so it's not like it's totally turned around. It's now back to even rather than favoriting Tox. LG fight. Vengeur's totally committed to that angle, and with only a few seconds left, Tox should be picking up this map. Going with a machine gun. Vengeur's just wiped off the spawn 9-7. 1-1 on maps catch up.
That slight mishap at the very end, I feel like that was kind of the beginning of the end for him, unfortunately. He played so well the entire time, and then at the last possible minute, it kind of fell apart off just a little bit of an error.
Yeah, I mean, when you're in that nail gun room and you're going in for a lightning gun fight and you're at where the nail gun spawns, and if they're at any of the entrances, it's like they choose when you leave the fight, not you. Because if you strafe towards a doorway, you're either too predictable or you're just, you're going to get out-aimed anyway. So the disengage is up to them. You just have to win the fight, otherwise you're done for. I think Vengeur was hoping to sneak out with even 20 health. It was just getting caught out at the wrong time, and Tox picking the fight at absolutely the right time.
It's a bit unfortunate though, because most of this map was Vengeur making a comeback, and it kind of felt like that once it tied the knots, that hey, maybe it's just going to be business as usual from here, and we can continue things a little bit. But yeah, the second we went back to a little bit more of a passive style on both ends, and trading those items and keeping their stacks pretty much deadlocked. That one moment at the end where it just looked a little bit like Vengeur had missed that timing, and Tox had timing pretty much the entire map's duration. So he had the last laugh at the end of the day, and there's no clear winner just yet.
A nice win though for Tox, when it was maybe a wider scoreline than people would have expected over on Awoken. He just clinched it on Corrupted Keep, and we're going to get ourselves over to Molten Falls, where Tox gets to play Slash, and he's not lost the series. It's not 2-0 down. He can now play Slash for the actual series win.
Yes. Now, at the same time, it's Doomslayer, which is definitely one of the slower champions in the game. Like, he's not super slow. His Berserk does give him that little bit of speed, but Slash on any regular crouch slide will still outspeed a Doomslayer in Berserk. It kind of feels like. So there's definitely going to, I think, be a clash of styles in how they can approach here.
In terms of the Berserk, I don't think Vengeur's even going to use it that much.
We don't really, do we?
It's just about the double jump. You say we don't, do we? I know you're a Doom main.
You've got me there. Shout out to Doom Eternal coming out in November.
Absolutely. Vengeur is very strong with Doom, but nobody's as good as Tox is with Slash.
And it's a scary situation. I know sometimes people can fear that maybe we put too much emphasis on the champions and stuff like that. Ultimately, player skill will always trump, and that's the one thing that matters. However, in the context of this map that we're about to see, we're betting a map win and a series decider on the greatest Slash player in the world. And that is a scary situation to be in. But Vengeur, he is constantly trying to prove to not only himself, but the entire Quake scene that he is right up there at the highest level. And whilst he has been proving that as time goes on, this is a great map for him to win. This would be a great result if he can close it out 2-1.
Absolutely. And speaking of Tox being the greatest Slash player in the world, we get to witness that now. Playing pretty steady at the moment. Battle of information. What on earth is my opponent doing? Give me something to work with, please, Vengeur. Otherwise, it's just literally just recycling of the major items up on the first rotation. And there's going to be another one in a moment. Vengeur's going to get there later than Tox got to the second heavy. But Vengeur actually gets the first good shot, and he gets the rail follow-up. That's pretty damn good from him. Tox is just cycling backwards from him. Can I find that health ball? Please, I'm railable at the moment. This is urgent.
Fortunately, it missed, so Toxic can, I don't want to say rest easy, but he can relax for about a split second. That's some unfortunate damage. Using the Plasma Trail for burst of speed, really trying to bully him away from the heavy. Isn't going to be successful. Whoa. And Vengeur! Just like that, Zook. Just like that. Combo the piece.
That was insane. That's another great... With that double jump, you can just get that nice verticality in your gameplay so that it makes people just surprised when they get out LG'd from a distance that seems impossible. Tox runs right at him through the teleporter. Vengeur's going to take it. I was going to say I'm not predicting a 31-1, but if Tox is too aggressive with the low starting stack of Slash, then things could start to accelerate for Vengeur, but we're definitely not there yet.
He's going to go up the jump pad, but gets hit by a really nice and tidy reactionary rail for his troubles. Toxic! Just going to be a trade. To be honest, kind of good. Toxic is going to spawn just a little bit earlier. Depends on where they're going to spawn. Vengeur had a very favourable one, actually, right near Mega. Hasn't got to overextend to get any of these weapons. They're just on the bodies, right? Let's just collect it and then use them to win. Toxic! I almost wonder if, Did he just forget that Vengeur was near those two weapons because they just died there?
Yeah, because if he's there, he would have picked up the weapons that you dropped off your corpses. He's going to find it one more time. It takes so long for Tox to get that one rocket out. Vengeur is looking magnificent at the moment. 5-1, retaining control, mega health up in a moment. What could possibly go wrong?
Well, Toxjq might be showing us at some point, springs the trap on the LG, but it is in essence only a little bit of entry damage, and considering that Vengeur has such a larger stack natively because of the Doomslayer.
That's actually a nutty rail. This could make things dangerous for Tox over at the heavy. It looks like he's going to try and risk it, so he takes a bit of splash damage anyway. Escapes, gets the full armor stack, almost eats a rocket. Now Vengeur's got to be a little careful. That light armor hasn't spawned yet. I think it's just gone now. Okay, this means he can't actually challenge for this mega health. Great rail shot. Rockets to watch out for. Has got a double jump if needed. Tox can't get over to the mega. That's going to be one more item for Vengeur. And he's managed to fend off that insane aggression that we were getting from Tox.
That is the danger of the rail cooldown. If someone survives with barely any stack, technically you still can't do any damage until the rail was cooled down officially. So, oh, what a shot. Vengeur.
The timing.
He's hitting this. He's just choosing these moments really, really well.
I'd say Tox has been somewhat predictable with his aggression, but connecting with the shots as well that's the hard bit. But it's just the timing of it. Vengeur is expecting an aggressive game. He knows what he's capable of. His slash almost gets pushed off the map then. Has to get out of there. Was railable for a brief moment. Gets the health bubble. Heavy's going to be up in a moment. Tox should make himself 100-100. And now Vengeur has to look out. Spam rocket out. He gets the light armor. This now looks like it's leaning towards Tox's period of the game. As you can tell from Vengeur now starting to hide a little bit.
And Vengeur can, really sort of kill some of this time. Toxjq wasn't ready for even like a turnaround shot. He did catch him though, so we are going to see somewhat of a chase, I think. This is going to come down to the fact that Doomslayer can't really run away from a slash, but they've completely split things off. Tox trying to get some stack first. Ultimately, even if you're faster than the Slayer, he has a really nice stack against you. So
The
Slayer has entered the building. That's such a cool moment in Eternal, man. Can't just talk about that all day. Oh, that's a noisy girl right there. But you said about the hiding and the stick put. It's not a bad choice from Vengeur. He's got a really sizable lead, and as long as he focuses on just keeping stack maintained, if this weird little head-on collision happens, then Vengeur can still actually survive the fight and maybe even get another frag for his troubles. If he just slows this down to a snail's pace now, it's just frustratingly difficult now for Toxjq to make something happen.
Vengeur does actually want to fight. He just wants to make sure it's on his terms.
Yeah, exactly.
He's looking for the chance for Tox moves into the room where he can set up that perfect rocket, or get a rail from a distance where he shows himself. There's the one direct.
Like that.
One more is looking really good. 75 damage. This means he can now go in for an LG fight. Such a close battle there from the mid-map. You see that Tox was left with about 5 points of health just then. Vengeur off the spawn doesn't look too terrible. He's going to get himself some weapons that he can work with. He's going for basically these spam prediction shots. Either that or he has got the reflexes of a cat. It's unbelievable from Vengeur. Tox still trying to fight back in the second half of this map to get to 6.
But Vengeur was doing exactly what you pointed out, that he was trying to take a fight on his terms. He even got that 100 damage rocket, which should have been a good position, but it's just Toxjq out-LGing him by the tiny amount. And in this situation, there's only 4 frags of a difference. And Tox knows that time is on his side. The stack is on his side as well. And if he catches Vengeur going back into the same strat, right?
Yeah, exactly the same strat. He's not trying to just recover from the frags. Oh, I deserve that frag back, and going in aggressively and trying to, bully it out of Tox's hands. He's being very disciplined, and he's going to again wait because he knows it was so close to working. It's not worth getting worked up about.
So close to having his rail shot. Caught swapping weapons.
Oh, this is dangerous. He does get himself the light armor though mid-fight. He can double jump over to help him.
But he was ready! Toxjq was ready for the double jump. Imagine the foresight. That is matchup knowledge 100%. You know you're against a Doom and there's an arching door, aim up, because he's probably double jumping around it.
Precisely. And now there's even more control from Tox. This time Vengeur doesn't have the armor to back him up, so it becomes incredibly difficult. And Vengeur's just basically happy that Tox didn't steer into him then with the crouch sliding.
Yeah, that would have been a scary fight to take, especially with no armor on his side. There is a light there.
This is so sketchy for Vengeur though, even with 50 armor and 100 health.
It's not a lot when you compare it to both Tox's stack and the damage he's capable of outputting.
Yeah.
We haven't seen a lot of these kind of like crazy, wacky plays from Tox just yet in terms of the shots he's hitting, but does he need them? That's a lot of damage coming in. The LG's going to push him away.
he didn't knock him off the map completely. Sorry, back down to the heavy, but he slows him down somewhat, and Tox's stack was equalized briefly. And Vengeur, he doesn't want to be off the map. It's so scary having a fast champion, because if he dies for free, then Tox is going to be able to get a
nice shot
frag. Mid-air just then. He finds Tox for a moment, but he can't land the rail. That rail would have secured him the kill. Vengeur now maybe is playing just hold on to his lead.
But I think he's going to try and win this game through that kicking and screaming at this stage. Toxic gets caught, but hang on a minute. No frags are still going to trade off.
Unreal.
They're hitting some rockets that should be just setting up a miracle situation, but it's Vengeur. He's second-guessed the timing. He's completely second-guessed it, and he's given it to Tox.
I think that was a good idea, though, because Tox was on his way to wrap round by LG, and Vengeur was like, if I stay here for a second longer, then I'm going to get fought, and I won't have an escape route. What he needs to have is always a B plan. And he hears the bounce pad being used. He's getting chased a little bit. Has a good position for the drop down of the LG, but the rockets are going to hit from Tox. Now he's got the mega health. He's got 2 minutes to make this happen. I think Tox is going to be well on his way, especially if Vengeur can't get himself out of the trifecta immediately. He's jumping for it now.
I honestly feel like Vengeur is going to try and almost go back into this defensive style even more. Even though he's just got a couple of unfavorable frags, the clock is still on his side. The defensive rail, that's going to open up something now as well. The rocket unfortunately doesn't hit its mark. He's going to get some LG anyway. Toxic trying to get some damage, but that was such an important frag for Vengeur. He's now going to get some control as well. Mega has just spawned, and he's got a wonderful lead to sit on as well. If he catches Toxic off guard, this might be a game over moment.
What was insane is Vengeur didn't face Tox coming down that whole way. I think he probably loses that fight. He got the advantage of the LG as Tox was jumping down the staircase, and it just totally won them the fight. If Tox got through there, he probably hits the first rocket, and he's able to combo that.
But now, that's that 1 minute warning. This is a tall order for Toxic. 4 frags in 55 seconds. He's going to really try and put his foot on the gas, but he's going to die again anyway. And Vengeur looking real good to make this a 2-1 in his favor. The Rockets trade! That's a win for Vengeur, to be honest. He was more than happy to take that trade.
Absolutely. He spawns by it as well, so he gets himself 20 rockets. He's still got the rail. His stack's not too bad. He's got the heavy on top of that. There are 30 seconds to go. Tox is just trying to get the frag differential to be a little less loose.
And he's trying to just go for those big plays.
I think he got hit by a mid-air and knocked off the map just then. That was dirty from Vengeur.
Well, you know what that was? That was a game ender. Toxic is definitely going to lose this now against Vengeur. Does not physically have the time. He can run in as much as he can, but to no avail. Vengeur's going to take this versus Toxic, and you know he's going to be feeling damn good about it too.
Yeah, really, really nice. GG's a call. Tox will return the favor. And what was that, 10-7 in the end? Oh, sorry, it was more than that, I think. Either 11-4. I think it's a nice one, Zook.
But it was a good result for Vengeur. Absolutely. And we talked about how much it's going to mean to him to get that early momentum, and ultimately that being a 2-1 means it's going to be 4 points for Vengeur, 2 for Toxic. We haven't seen any 8 points yet. No 3 zeros.
I mean, it's impressive when you are able to put a stop to Tox's Slash, because it's very scary. And Molten Falls is not that bad a map on it. You can get some good flow on it. Surfaces aren't bad at all for Slash. It's not a bad map at all for the champion.
But a lot of what came in Vengeur's favor, I think, was just patience.
Yes.
Right? Those situations where the majority of the map, if not pretty much the entire damn thing, we would see Vengeur just not be way too brash to run around. How many times was he just looking to pick his moment? You said it earlier, trying to take a fight on his terms. Even if he has the stack advantage. If you go head on with a Slash, she's probably going to run rings around you, she can catch you off guard. You know, those really weird shots you have to hit can be quite tricky against someone that quick. However, if Vengeur's just sitting there listening out for it and he gets that opening damage, it's very likely he's going to take the rest of the kill as well. But unless Toxic hits LGs like that.